Hello, I'm Benjamin Goulter.
Luke Groschel.
Trevor Demo.
Dane Hamilton.
And I am Wyatt Borchert from Hononegah High School, and we are Rock Innovations.
This is Rock Innovations ComEd Power Challenge. So the whole idea kind of started as a necessity as we move towards renewable energy and how the current forms of renewable energy are not really efficient enough or sustainable enough to feed the grid on a full-scale level. So our question was sort of how can we implement renewable energies 100% and do it reliably enough to supply the grid even when there is weather issues, especially lack of sunlight, lack of wind for turbine power, so on and so forth. So our project represents a model of a possible method for storing energy. So basically a large battery. It uses pumped storage, which in the short takes water from a lower reservoir to an upper reservoir in the daytime when there's an excess of energy in theory. So that would be when we're creating too much solar energy and there's not enough demand for it on the grid. We would take that extra solar energy or wind energy that's been produced and use it to run a pump to pump water from a lower reservoir to an upper reservoir. And then in the nighttime, when in a need for energy because of less production from solar or turbine, the upper reservoir would drain from the upper reservoir through a series of pipes and plumbing through a turbine into the lower reservoir, and then the turbine would in turn spin a generator, which would supply that needed energy to the grid. So kind of the idea was to solve the duck curve phenomenon, which is what happens when we have not enough solar energy in the nighttime, but too much in the daytime. So with the duck curve, it shows that there's still a need for traditional energy sources such as nuclear energy or coal-fired energy. So by taking the excess that's created through the day by solar panels and solar power and wind power, we're able to then reuse that at night rather than having that just wasted, and then that kind of killing two birds with one stone allows us to not have to use the traditional methods of supplying electricity through the dark hours. So additionally, this is much more eco-friendly than, say, lithium-ion batteries because it fits into the environment. It could be, rather than constructing a new infrastructure or new facilities, we could make use of existing lakes or water features, old quarries. Specifically, we were looking at even old man-made structures such as water towers or other abandoned infrastructure. Additionally, if this is natural lakes or ponds that we are using, it's providing habitat for wetland wildlife as well as other wildlife that requires water to survive. So as we reach 100% renewable energy, there's going to be, as I explained earlier, an overproduction of solar, and that would just be wasted if there's no use for it. But then in turn at night, since the solar is not producing energy at night, there would not be enough production at night, and we would still have to rely on coal or nuclear or traditional energies to supply us through the night. So by taking that excess energy, we can store that and then reuse that through the dark hours. So our model basically uses two totes plumbed together with PVC pipes. So solar panels run a pump that pumps water from the lower tote to the upper tote. It's about 27 gallons. And then after that has been completed, we can get that energy back out at whatever time we would like by simply opening a valve and allowing the upper tote to drain through a turbine generator into the lower tote. And then that turbine generator would power whatever we would need to power. So while creating a pump storage facility large enough to service the entire ComEd territory would be more or less impossible, making small and more spread out projects, little here and there, so multiple small projects rather than one large project would really make a huge impact on kind of helping solve the duck curve phenomenon. So one site that we looked at would be the Fort McCory, which is just south of Chicago. If it was constructed properly using efficient equipment, we believe that it could store the excess energy of approximately 40,000 homes with solar panels installed, and then disperse that energy through the night to those same 40,000 homes that have produced the excess energy. So to store the excess energy of one household, we would basically need about 300 meters squared water. That would be sufficient enough to store one household's energy and then replenish that energy through the nighttime hours.
It begins at the solar panels, where energy from the sun is ran into a pump, which pumps water from the lower tank to a higher tank. The solar panels are currently making 18 volts. You open the valve, which runs through the generator and drains the water back into the lower tank, and the generator produces 2 volts of electricity.
To make this project viable for the real world, improvements would be necessary, including greater head height between both the lower and upper reservoirs, as well as specially engineered aqueducts and plumbing, and better pumps and generators and turbines. This concludes the Rock Innovations IEEE Power Challenge presentation. Thank you very much.